So if the character of Magneto uses his experiences with racism and prejudice during the civil rights movement and the Jim Crow era as a catalyst for wanting mutant supremacy over humans, is he going to want white mutants in his organization? Now, I want to talk to you about the rumor going around where they want to race bend the characters of Professor Xavier Magneto. Now, what I want to touch upon is the updated origin stories of Magneto. And that's one of the reasons why people are saying that they can race bend the character, because he needs to have his origin updated. Now, the character Magneto, I'm just going to use the dates 1945 and 2025 and 1965. And I'm going to go with the age of 13 for Magneto. I may go for a little bit older than that for another part of the video, but just bear with me for a second. Suppose Magneto was about 13 in 1955. Well, in 2025, he will be 93 years old, which makes him too old for some people. So they want a younger Magneto, probably in late 40s, early 50s type deal. And they go, well, he has to have his origins updated so that he won't be so old when the movie's out. So they go with the 60s, the civil rights movements. And it makes kind of sense with the X-Men, because the X-Men are an allegory for the civil rights movement. They're an allegory for racism and prejudice in the country, and persecution. So that makes sense in that aspect of it. But the only problem with having them around in 1965 is this. If it's 13 years old in 1965, then by the time 2025 comes around, he's 73 years old, which makes him too old. So there you have a problem. If your whole thing is not wanting to have an old Magneto, you can't have him be around in 1965, or at least you can't have him be about 13 years old in 1965. And you need to have him to be a certain age around the civil rights era so that he can have that direct influence and experiences that could carry on and help him form these ideologies that he would have. You can't do that and still have a young Magneto. So what do you do? Well, one thing you could do is you could still use the civil rights movement in the form of an allegory for mutants. You should still use racism and prejudice in the form of an allegory for mutants. You just have it take place at a later time. Instead of having him directly influenced by this particular civil rights movement, he's just influenced by the civil rights movement that the mutants are going through, the persecution that the mutants are going through, maybe 20 years after that fact. He could be born in 1965, 70, 75, and of course in 1985, 1990, that's when the mutant civil rights movements could happen, or that's when persecution could start really be taking place for mutants. That's what he's fighting for. Or that's what influences him. So there's that aspect of it. So you don't have to have him directly connected to the civil rights movement, but you can still touch upon that in allegories, and he can even mention that, say, first you persecute this group of people, then you persecute this group of people, then you persecute this group of people. You humans are all about persecution, and it ends now with homo superior mutants. You can go that aspect of it. But then, of course, there are other ways you could do it by still holding on to the Holocaust survivor aspect of it. You could say he's about 19. You could say that he's in his 40s in 1945. He's a mutant, but he's hiding. And of course, when he gets captured by Nazis in Nazi Germany, he doesn't want to expose his mutant powers because he doesn't want to put himself and his family in danger. And of course, after witnessing the atrocities that have happened during that time, I backtrack a little bit. Something happens and he gets taken away and he gets cryogenically frozen. So because the Nazis are going to want to experiment on mutants, because they know about mutants at this time, and the Nazis were known to experiment on people. So he's cryogenically frozen, then he's woken up in the year 2025. Of course, then he's a man out of place, a man out of time, but he still has those memories and emotions of the Holocaust fresh in his being. So therefore, he acts out because he starts noticing that mutants are starting to become persecuted in this day and age. And he goes, you know what, I sat back and I allowed something to happen before, and I'm not going to allow it to happen again. This sort of gives some sort of sympathy to the character, but it also explains why he would have the ideologies that he has, and it also would help to explain how he's able to be alive in 1945 and then, of course, be a young man in 2025. Simply, he was cryogenically frozen and wasn't waking up until then. Even though that's a little too close to Captain America, it still fits. And there are a whole bunch of other stories and ways that you could tell and update the origin stories for the character without having to race bend the characters. But those are just my thoughts. What are your thoughts? Leave them in the comment section down below. Hit that like and subscribe button. Thanks for watching the video. Until next time, catch you on the flip side.